Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk. I'm your host, Saieed Ali, a spiritual consultant and real estate businessman. Remember, for those of you that are having spiritual problems, you can feel free to contact me. Those of you who have properties to sell or looking for a property to buy, you can also contact me. And if you lend your friend and your family your hard-earned cash and you cannot get it back, feel free to contact us at Real Talk, the collection department. Now, viewers, you can contact us live in studio. While our show is going on, it is a call-in program. You can call in at 238-6716. 238-6716. It's a live call-in program. We want to hear from you, the public of Trinidad and Tobago. This is the #1 current affairs program. We are up and running. Our studios are located at number 14 Caroni Savannah Road in Shogunas. I want to welcome those of you that are on our page tonight. Our page, Real Talk with Saieed Ali. Like and share as we go live. Encourage your friends and your family to like and share our page. Those of you on YouTube, subscribe, TT Real Talk. Hit the bell and you would know when we go live, viewers. So I want a special good night to you. It's a Monday night. It's 7 p.m. Well, until about 5 past 7 p.m. here on Real Talk Studios. So as we start off tonight, viewers, the country has recorded another COVID-19 death. It now takes the number of deaths to number 12.
Total number of active cases now are at 413. The total number of positive cases, including the phase 1, is 565. The number of deaths now stand at 12. Number of persons discharged at 140. We would have had since 4 p.m. to present yesterday 13 cases, 9 in Trinidad, 4 in Tobago being new cases.
So viewers, the death toll of COVID-19 is rising in Trinidad and Tobago. The person who was a male is with a pre-existing medical condition. Meanwhile, 13 additional people have tested positive for the COVID virus. 9 from Trinidad and 4 from Tobago. The total number of positive cases now stands at 588 with 436 active cases in our little 2x2 island we call Trinidad and Tobago. In order to keep COVID-19 under control, the public was asked to adhere to the public health guidelines. This was announced by Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parashram at today's Ministry of Health virtual meeting.
Let us get the virus under control. I think we had done very well in the first phase and we can do it again, but we need the cooperation of everyone in Trinidad and Tobago to follow the guidelines. The new regulations are enforced for 28 days. We will keep reviewing our status, and we hope that with the regulations, with mask wearing, we can get this virus once again under control in Trinidad and Tobago.
Now, viewers, we're going to have a discussion with this COVID-19 issue that we are facing in Trinidad and Tobago. Principal Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Naresh Nandram, also stated that the COVID-19 age group has now changed.
The take-home message really is that the average age of persons affected by COVID has shifted down into the earlier age groups as compared to where we were early on in this outbreak. Very early in the outbreak, because of the majority of persons coming in from cruise ships and that sort of thing, the majority of cases that we found were in the older age groups. But now what we see is that the average age has dropped significantly into the younger age groups. The majority of cases in females occur between the ages of 35 to 39, and for males it's younger than that. It's the 25 to 29-year-olds that where most of the cases occur, and that's very concerning, and perhaps that's correlated to adherence to the public health guidelines.
So viewers, that was the Medical Health Officer of Epidemiology, Dr. Naresh Nandram. in Trinidad and Tobago. So we have to be aware presently in our little island if the age bracket have changed, which means anybody could contact the virus. Caller, good night.
Yeah, good night, Saeed.
Go right ahead, my friend.
Yes, Saeed, the individual them in Trinidad and Tobago. Like them, I know how to wear face mask, boy. There's hook it in the air, there's put it in the forehead. There's hook it in the air, there's put it in the throat. There's left the mouth open. So that individual had to get 3 face masks. One for the forehead have a mouth. The mouth have a mouth, and the throat have a mouth. So they had to get 3 face masks.
Thank you, caller. So Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parashram noted that the persons who were tested for after reporting flu-like symptoms are ignoring to stay at home orders.
Persons would have been swabbed, let us say, 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were in the cluster phase, and they would have been told by the physicians, if you are ill, we swab you as a community sample, for instance. So you have mild flu-like symptoms, you were swabbed, the advice was given to stay at home until you get a result that is negative. Of course, that advice was not heeded, and persons continue to move after being swabbed, after being told by the physicians that they should not have left their home during that period of time.
Now, he further noted that persons who have been swabbed for COVID-19 are to be given quarantine orders by medical staff. The CMO noted that if persons do not comply and breach the quarantine order, then the police can enforce the law.
Persons would have been swabbed, let us say, 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were in the cluster phase, and they would have been told by the physicians, if you are ill, we swab you as a community sample, for instance. So you have mild flu-like symptoms, you were swabbed, the advice was given to stay at home until you get a result that is negative. Of course, that advice was not heeded, and persons continue to move after being swabbed, after being told by the physicians that they should not have left their home during that period of time.
So now, viewers, the CMO is warning citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, whenever you get your test, stay at home until you get your result. If they swab you and they say wait for your result within 2 to 3 weeks, stay at home, because you might be a carrier, an asymptomatic person, and you don't know. So please stay at home. If you have to go out, wear your mask. Make it mandatory, not only for you, but you see, when you go out and you mix and mingle with the public, and you come home back, you're coming home back to your family, the person's in the house. And many of us are taking that for granted. Now that we have it surfacing up in Trinidad now, you need to be more aware of what is taking place in and around you. Stern public health measures were expected to take place from today. Police are cracking down on delinquent behaviors of individuals in an attempt to control the spread of the coronavirus. CMO Dr. Roshan Parashram noted that anyone found in breach of the public health guidelines would be fined by the TTPS.
I believe an enforcement matter prior to today. In terms of the public health regulation, again, it is a matter for the police force. So now that the regulations are enforced as of 6 o'clock this morning, I suppose anyone that is found, as I read the regulation 3.1a, that alluded to persons found at a beach or a river or a stream or a pond or a public pool, can be fined based on the public health regulation.
Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith noted that he is enforcing the regulation and measures now more than ever. Due to the high risk of COVID-19 in Trinidad and Tobago, the TTPS will now have to further enforce laws to ensure that the public abides by all public health regulation in regards to COVID-19. Now, viewers, we are going to have a discussion here tonight. Do you think a fine should be in place for any individual that are caught breaking the health regulations? So we are going to have a discussion with that tonight. So feel free to call in. I want to hear yes I want to hear no. And I want to hear how many of you will take it serious. So, should there be a fine for the health regulation breakers in Trinidad and Tobago? Yes or no? So feel free to call in. So as we move on tonight, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Parashram said, a person who tested positive for COVID-19 and went to Tobago may have exposed over 200 people to the virus, and exposure to 200 people from the virus. The CMO said contact tracing revealed that the infected person have been in contact with over 200 people after going in Tobago. In the light of this, Dr. Parashram said medical staff will assist with contact tracing.
Because the numbers are extremely large in terms of the number of persons you have to contact trace. And if you look at that one case that I alluded to, with over 200 contacts from one case, and we're getting 10 or 20 cases per day, you can see the numbers exponentially will increase. So we are beefing up the staff at the CMOH offices as well. After I meet with them, I'll get their additional needs beyond nurses and doctors, which I had solicited a couple of weeks ago from them. So they will tell me if they need any other staffing, any other equipment to perform the contact tracing function in a better way.
Dr. Parashram reminds citizens that they should behave as if everyone around them has COVID-19.
You should not congregate for any reason. Stay at home as long as you can. If you have to go out to get essential services, do so. But anyone that ventures beyond that puts themselves and their families at significant risk of contracting COVID-19. In March, I had said that we need to behave as if the person next to you, anyone in the country, has COVID-19. There's no magic test that you can take. There's no appearance of an individual that will show you that they have COVID-19 by looking at their face. There's no red dot that will show up that shows that they are positive.
So viewers, just before we go for this break, our discussion tonight is, do you think there should be a fine imposed on those who break the COVID-19 regulation in Trinidad and Tobago? So viewers, we're going to start taking phone calls right after this break.
Come down to Martha Imports Limited, one of the largest wholesalers and retailers for all your 4x4, SUV and car accessories. We also have in stock a large variety of rims to suit all your vehicular needs, new arrivals of 4x4 off-road accessories, and we are the sole distributor of TWI 4x4 accessories. Check us out at number 3 Hassan Ali Trace, South Lower Barrackport, or contact us at 654-5234, 289-4901, 271-3519 or 360-8773. We guarantee the best customer service, best deals, and definitely the best wheels. Martha Imports Limited. We put our customers first. Come down to Martha Imports Limited, one of the largest wholesalers and retailers.
So welcome back to Real Talk, viewers. Caller, good night.
Yeah, good night.
Should there be a fine imposed?
Yeah, $1,000.
How much?
5,000.
Thank you, my friend. Now, viewers, I want you all to understand. You see, when they call in and you voice your concern, there are people in authority that has been listening to Real Talk. I want to inform you that. There are people in authority that has been looking onto Real Talk and taking advice from the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago in order to do things for the betterment of citizens. I wouldn't tell you how I know that. But keep that in mind. I am not doing like the Prime Minister. When I had tell earlier, I get a letter from the oh gosh, how you call them again? The observers. You know, and I know you all will take it. Because I am the Prime Minister, a man who does tell the truth. I am not doing like that. But thus far, Real Talk have been getting things done in Trinidad and Tobago. We have been getting legislation. We have been getting bills. Seniors in position in Trinidad and Tobago are using the advice from citizens that call into Real Talk in order to put things in place to better citizens. They are using ideas. They are using ideas. And you all have seen that thus far. For example, the Ramsaran thing. That's an example by itself. So viewers, listen to this. 5 persons were expected to appear before a Port of Spain magistrate today after they were held at a party in St. James. According to reports, police reports, at around 6 a.m. on Sunday, officers received information of a party that was going on in St. James. A team of officers from the Western Division Task Force was dispatched to the scene. Upon arrival, officers observed a group of at least 20 persons which were in breach of the public health ordinance as it pertains to gathering. The police also observed that they were not wearing masks or social distancing. As a video with the police. They asked the group to disperse. However, one man confronted the officers for their decision and allegedly began cursing at them. The individual began cursing the officers. The officers made an attempt to arrest the individual, but 4 men attempted to obstruct the officers from detaining the suspect. As a result, all 5 men were taken into custody. They were expected to be charged when they appear before court today. Caller, good night.
Good evening, Mr. Said.
Go right ahead.
Right, something just isn't right with this whole situation that we're getting coming from the press conference that they've been holding ever since. Now, we started out 80 days without any community spread. And then, all in a sudden, we have 500 plus, which a lot is community spread. Now they're looking to blame everybody on the planet for this situation.
Now, caller, I understand what you're saying. We, the citizens, cannot blame the government. We have to blame ourselves.
No, well, what I am saying here, Mr. Said, is that we saying some of the people saying that the cases coming in from Venezuela. What I am asking now, how many Venezuelans in this 500 plus is quarantined right now?
I understand.
That is positive with COVID.
I understand.
Secondly, now before they were saying that all the people who have COVID were tested and identify whether they are positive or negative. Now we're hearing that all the tests have to take over a week. So you are having people quarantined with other people who is COVID positive, and they don't know if they are positive or negative. They're waiting a test. So you could go in, be tested, not have COVID in an environment with COVID positive patients, and then come out getting COVID from in a situation like that.
I understand. That's true.
There are so many things that is not right that we are not being told, and the public is in a situation now, they don't know what to believe. It's like how the boy cried wolf. 1 minute you're telling me, this thing is so serious, to be alert. Then you relax. Then you come back and tell me it's serious. So you have the population in
back
a
and forth
way that they are not really vigilant as they're supposed to be like other countries. And now we end up in a situation like this. And now they're looking to blame and look for a scapegoat now to blame everybody else but what they're supposed to do as a government.
Thank you, my friend. I understand what you're saying there. Another officer at the Tunapuna police station has tested positive for COVID-19. This is the 3rd officer attached to the station who has tested positive for the virus. Results are still pending on other officers who have been in primary contact with a previous positive case. One more again at the Tunapuna station. However, several officers are currently in quarantine as they are primary and secondary contacts of the first 3 individuals. Some officers have been ordered to suspend or to spend 14 days in isolation as a result. Now, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, the COVID virus, it is a very, very serious thing. You know when we will get serious? You see all these individuals who had parties and went to the beach and all these things? They have been hearing over the week, last week in fact, how many cases were turning up on a daily basis. But they didn't take it serious. They flocked to the beaches. They kept parties. So now I want to ask citizens of Trinidad and Tobago who went to the parties and who went to the beach. You come down with the flu. You went to get tested. Your result came back positive. I want to ask you now, who are you going to blame? Caller, good night.
Hello, good night.
Do you think there should be a fine imposed for those individuals breaking the COVID-19 regulation? He there? Our discussion is tonight. Do you think there should be a fine imposed? You will answer yes or you will answer no. I want to see how much citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are aware of the seriousness that are taking place. Now, if you get this virus, there could be a death. You being a carrier of the COVID-19 virus could end up dying. That is how serious it is. And until that virus knock on your door, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. So feel free to call in. Let me hear what you have to say. Caller, good night.
Yes, I find it fine.
Thank you, my friend. We want to have as much call as possible tonight because it's out of hand. 588 with 12 dead, 436 active case. So what about from this active case now? Do people start dying from it? What are we going to do? So now, election just finished. Election just finished. And all of a sudden, cases start popping up. Cases start popping up. 10, 15, 20. For the day. Caller, good night.
Hello, good night.
Do you think there should be a fine?
Yes, I'm fine.
Thank you, my friend. COVID-19 is increasing in Tobago. This is according to the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Roshan Parashram. The management of PTSD Tobago are concerned about sanitization issue. Ted Taylor, Transportation and Industrial Workers Union executive, said the PTSD went ahead and bought lab coats and demanded that the workers wear it. However, it is not suitable for sanitizing. PTSD workers are demanding proper personal protective equipment for sanitization of all buses. The people them just care about their safety. So it is the job of the health minister now to provide what the PTSD workers are asking for. All they want to be is prepared and have the proper gears. Minister of Health, that's all they want. That is all they need. So why do they have to demand it now when you know it is a mandatory thing? You see, sometimes these very ministries just come in and get licks. You're telling me where this, where that, and where the next. But you are providing it for them. Caller, good night. Do you think a fine should be imposed?
Hello?
Yes, do you think a fine should be imposed? Next call. Patients at Cora facility are yet again complaining about delays in receiving their COVID-19 result. One patient who chose to remain unknown stated that diabetic persons and those who have prior medical conditions are among those in ward and awaiting result. She stated that there is another patient who has been in quarantine over 16 days and is still awaiting result. 16 days. She was told to hold strain. Hey, you think that easy? You're holding strain? And if that anyone needs to speak to a psychiatrist to let their nurse know. So you going in, test for COVID-19. And a nurse telling you if you want to talk to a psychiatrist, let them know. A psychiatrist is for Ward 1. What the hell kind of crazy nurse it have up there? Huh? This is reports coming from Cora. You are a patient, you are waiting your COVID-19 result, and a nurse telling you if you want to talk to a psychiatrist, let them know. They're not in Ward 1, madam. And you should be ashamed of yourself calling yourself a nurse. You feel the people up in Ward 1, they're not in Ward 1. Boy, this thing's getting real mad, you know. Caller, good night.
Hello, good night.
Do you think there should be a fine imposed?
Yes, it should. It is getting ridiculous.
Thank you, my friend. Have anybody heard if they are going to privatize WASA? Have anybody heard that? I will keep, there's something in WASA I want to say, but I will keep this for tomorrow night. Nevertheless, I will keep it for tomorrow night. So if viewers, feel free to call in. 238-6716. Do you think there should be a fine imposed on the public health regulation lawbreakers? Those who want to keep parties, those who want to go to the beaches, do you think there should be a fine imposed? Let me hear what you have to say. Caller, good night.
Hello, good night, Mr. Saeed.
Do you think there should be a fine imposed?
Yes, there should be a fine.
Thank you, my dear. Feel free to call in, viewers, as we roll our show. As we keep it rolling, Opposition Leader Kamala Prasad-Bisesa has questioned whether there was a cover-up plot among the government and health officials as to the truth of the COVID-19 positive cases prior to the election. In a statement posted to her Facebook page, she says the government alone had access and control over the true statistics and data of the virus spreading in Trinidad and Tobago. She is further accusing the government of having blunt refusal to come clean with the population on every possible turn. The UNC leader says Prime Minister called an election during the pandemic. Now she laments that 1 week later, we are in a clear, possible, uncontrolled health crisis and lockdown in Trinidad and Tobago. Caller, good night.
Good night, Mr. Saeed.
Should there be a fine?
Said yes.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you. While she accused the government of playing politics, she believed the health ministry should have protected the interests of the people. However, Ms. Prasad-Bisesa says answers are needed as to why it has come to this dangerous state of affairs where the lives of the entire population are now endangered. Like I said just now, just after the election finished, all these cases popping up. All of a sudden, 5, 10, 12, 15, and it just keep popping. It just keep popping. So were these cases before election and they're not releasing the results? I don't know. I want to know. I want to know because I find it very strange. I find it very strange 2 weeks before election, 3 weeks before election, we were not getting as much cases. But as soon as the election finished, where all these cases come from? It's like you bought a plane from another country and you just land in Trinidad and boom, whoops and vaps. Caller, good night. Caller?
Hello, good night.
Should there be a fine imposed? Caller, are you there? Next call. You stick, you get the click. You stick, you get the click. It's Mash Up Monday tonight. So we want to know, should there be a fine imposed for the public health regulation lawbreakers? Now, I'm going to tell you something. The last round of COVID-19, 4 or 5 months back, when Gary wanted to enforce the law, the Commissioner of Police wanted to enforce the law. But we had now the Minister of National Security saying that he cannot charge anybody. I don't remember when we had a conflict. Remember when there was a conflict between the Minister of National Security and the Commissioner of Police when he wanted to enforce the law, close down bars, shut down this, shut down that, to prevent the spread. When they came out and said, oh, he cannot charge anybody. Now they want to enforce the law. Now, I'm going to tell you something. The Chief Medical Officer, the CMO, you see how we have this pandemic in Trinidad and Tobago taking place with COVID-19? The Chief Medical Officer, if he comes out and say, because I will tell you something, the Chief Medical Officer have a higher position than a minister in the pandemic. He has the authorization to tell the police commissioner to charge individuals if they break the public health regulation. I want to let you listen to me clearly. Because if you understand the role as a chief medical officer, you would understand what I'm talking about. You would understand what I'm talking about. In a health pandemic, like what is taking place in Trinidad, the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Roshan Parashram, could tell the Commissioner of Police, go ahead and charge them for breaking the public health regulations. Take what I'm telling you. So now the Commissioner of Police is going to enforce the law now, and people will be charged. You see, I don't come and say just and say something that I don't know. I am here to educate you all. I am here to educate you all. That is why I'm asking the question, should there be a fine imposed? And if you can't pay the fine, what you doing? You will take her 30 days inside. Who caused that? Me? No. The CMO came out and tell you public health regulation is in effect. He laid down the rules and he enforced it with the Commissioner of Police to charge them. I know what I'm telling all you. I know what I'm telling all you. Caller, good night.
Good night, Saeed.
Should there be a fine imposed?
Of course, yes.
Thank you, my dear. I want to let you understand that. I know what I'm saying. Now, I'm going to tell you this. This was supposed to be implemented with the last set of COVID-19. When the country came into a lockdown, this was supposed to be implemented. But let me tell you something. You know why it wasn't implemented? The reason why it wasn't implemented is because citizens coming from abroad, they were the one being held. They are the one who are being held. You quarantine people. And you quarantine people. And you quarantine people. Now it is out of control. One individual went to Tobago and 200 of them. 200 of them being tested now. So listen this. Listen this. If these 200 persons are positive, what do you think will happen? There's another 200. It's another 200. And these other 200 now positive. There's another 200. Unless death of COVID-19 don't knock on your door, you would know how serious it is. Caller, good night.
Good night, Mr. Ali.
Should there be a fine imposed?
Yes.
Thank-
West says yes.
Thank you, my dear. So if you all feel free to call in, we are talking about health in Trinidad and Tobago. This is what we are talking about. 238-6716. Let me hear what you have today to say. Should there be a fine imposed? Because just imagine, public health guidelines in effect, and people keeping party. People keeping party. Pull back the police video. Police heard of a party. Go to tell them disperse themselves or let go home. One man decided to jump up from a crowd now and start to cuss the police. If you turn up COVID-19 positive, what are you going to tell the police? Huh? What are you going to tell the police? Huh? Now your friends and them now jumping to save you. Now all of them facing the man. What about the all have to pay $100,000 each now for breaking the regulations? Who you blaming? Who you blaming? The police? Who you blaming? COVID-19? Who you blaming? The CMO? No. If you can't pay the $100,000, go up inside. Caller, good night.
Hello, good night, sir.
Should there be a fine imposed?
Yes. What is a little COVID here in Trinidad? People ain't care, people are afraid to death, high taxes, property tax, all kind of tax coming, and nobody ain't care. What is a little COVID if they're dead?
Thank you, my friend. But we could deal with tax another night. Feel free to call in. That's our discussion. We have about 20 minutes. Let me see how much calls we can take in. Now, this is the safety for you and your family, my friend. Because I'm going to tell you something. When it is positive and you're going inside there, nobody can see you, you know. Nobody can see you. You will drop your stuff. But the guard will give it to the nurse, the attendant, and they will bring it to you. Caller, good night.
Sorry, good night.
Should there be a pause? A fine?
A huge one.
Thank you, my dear. 238-6716. We are talking about our safety. Our safety. And apparently the citizens, like they don't care to get sick. They don't care if we get sick, we get sick. But I'm going to tell you something. This sickness, this virus, it have no cure for it. And it comes with death leading behind. So what would you expect? How would you deal with it? Caller, good night. Hello?
Yeah, good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Should there be a fine imposed? Yes or no?
Yes, just will say yes.
Thank you, my dear. We are talking about the safety of oneself. We are talking about the safety of the loved ones. Because when we leave the house, our loved ones are expecting us back to come home healthy and in one piece. And let's just say you catch this virus outside. Somebody sneeze around you and the droplets fall on you and you go home and you started to feel unwell. What's going to happen? Caller, good night.
Hi, Saeed. Good night.
Good night. Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you, my dear. Feel free to call in, viewers. This is something for ourselves. It's our own benefit. How many of you would love to see your loved one in Cora? How many of you would love to bury a loved one because you didn't take heed to the COVID-19? How many of you? Call a good night.
Good night, Saeed.
Yes or no?
I believe it should be yes, but where's the fine? Where's the amount?
Well, it have to be a hefty fine. But tomorrow night we can talk about fine. We just want to hear what you have to say. Yes or no. And keep in mind, they are observers. They are observers listening to Real Talk because we bring the real thing to the table. Call a good night.
Good night.
Yes
Fine
or
them,
no?
Let them pay the fine.
Thank you, my dear. Now, viewers, it's not just about me asking you if there should be a fine, but it's also a warning to you all also, even to me. As long as you leave the house, wear your mask. Let me tell you something. If the house, or if Parliament was running, believe me, I would have pushed for legislation to make it mandatory that once you leave your house, wear a mask. If Parliament were only running, that would have been my push. Call a good night.
Good night, sir.
Impose a fine, yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you, my friend. 2386716, let me hear what you have to say. The reason why I am having this discussion tonight is for you to understand, is for us to understand the importance. And it's also for me to understand how many people out there are also taking heed to the virus. 2386716, we have about 15 minutes left. Viewers, we are going for a short commercial break, but remember, when we come back from this break, I want to hear from you.
Come down to Martha Imports Limited, one of the largest wholesalers and retailers for all your 4x4, SUV and car accessories. We also have in stock a large variety of rims to suit all your vehicular needs, new arrivals of 4x4 off-road accessories, and we are the sole distributor of TWI 4x4 accessories. Check us out at number 3 Hassan Ali Trace, South Lower Barrapore, or contact us at 654-5234, 289-4901, 271-3519 or 360-8773. We guarantee the best customer service, best deals, and definitely the best wheels. Martha Imports Limited. We put our customers first. Come down to Martha Imports Limited, one of the largest wholesalers and retailers.
Welcome back to Real Talk, viewers. So as I await your phone call, a 35-year-old garbage collector is facing charges of 1 count of sexual penetration of a minor. The report was made by the 14-year-old girl who stated that she was allegedly sexually assaulted by a man. She said that while she was in the bathroom at her home, the man proceeded to engage in sexual intercourse with her. The suspect was expected to appear before a Port of Spain magistrate. Wow. Sad boy. Call her good night.
Good night.
Should there be a fine imposed?
Hello?
Should there be a fine imposed for the...
Sure.
Thank you, my dear. The Election and Boundaries Commissioner had noted that there are more polling cards to be counted in St. Joseph. As of 5 p.m. today, 22 boxes of polling cards out of 54 were still to be completed. UNC candidate for St. Joseph, Aloy Hunt, noted that he was displeased with the lack of cooperation from EBC officials in the delay of result. He noted that he intended to seek a criminal investigation into allegations of fraud and voter padding against the EBC and its agent. The final recount must be completed before President Paul Weeks swore in the government. So viewers, St. Joseph is still counting ballots, and the only way the Prime Minister could be sworn in is when all the ballots, all the polling stations in Trinidad and Tobago are counted. So I guess there's a holdback there in the swearing in of the next Prime Minister. Hopefully in the coming days, this would finish. Caller, good night.
Yes, good night, Saeed.
Hello?
Yes, hello?
Should there be a fine imposed?
Yes, I think so.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you so much. And I do thank you for calling in and voicing your concern, because your loved ones, your husband, your wife, your brother, your sister, your grandmother, your co-workers are also human beings, and they could catch this virus as well as they could be breakers of the public health regulation. 2386716, let me hear what you have to say. Wow, 588, 436 active cases in Trinidad and Tobago. One week after the general election, 436 active cases in Trinidad and Tobago. 1 week. 1 week after the August 10, 2020 general election. What went wrong? What went wrong, Trinidad? Could somebody say what went wrong? I heard someone say that these testing are from June, July. So if this testing were from June and July, let's say it takes 7 days to do a test. So just imagine how many cases popped up in July. How many cases popped up in July? And just after the August 10th general election, we are hearing of it. So is Kamala Prasad Bisasa telling the truth? That the government withhold, that they withhold the medical results of COVID-19 until the 2010 general, until August 10th general election passes? Caller, good night.
Good night.
Should there be a fine imposed?
Yes, it should. What?
Thank you, my friend. Is Kamala Prasad Bisasa, what she is saying, is it good? Because I heard someone say that these results were from June and July. So if so, did they really held back the true numbers? And did they hold it back because of election or because they wanted to vote? I don't know, I'm just asking. Caller, good night.
Yeah, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.
Walaikum salam. Do you think there should be a fine imposed?
Sir, ask CBC. They are responsible.
Thank you. So did the Ministry of Health really held back the real figures? But that is a discussion for another night. For another night. 2386716. We have about 5 minutes on our show tonight again, viewers. Let me hear what you have to say. It's a matter of concern. It's a matter of public urgency that we take heed to the COVID-19. Yes, my show was about the coronavirus and the importance of it. Because it's 436 active cases. Not just 36, but 436. Are we aware of what is taking place? Or should we reach in a stage where people just dying one after the next, like in some countries? Some countries, they have closed back their borders because of a spike. Yesterday we saw videos of Maracas and Las Cuevas. Some of them said they are going for the last dip. That might be the last dip in truth. The last dip in truth. Just imagine that. So there's a restriction in place now. Casinos, members club, the beaches, they are closed for 28 days. The taxis will be working on 50% capacities. And the fine, not the fine, but the fee have been increased. Because taxis, let's just say you're working with 4 persons, you can now transport 2 persons, and the fee have also been increased in some areas. PTSC have sent out a bulletin that the normal capacity that they would flow at, I believe is 66, 67, somewhere around there, they are cutting it down to half. So it might be at least 18 or 30 people, between 30, 32 people traveling in a bus. So they will have the amount of space that is required. So to the traveling public, to the officers and them who are frontline, the nurses, the doctors in Trinidad and Tobago, you all be aware. Make sure you have on your mask, your sanitizers, your gloves, your proper PPE wear. For those of you in the hospital, please get your proper wear, that you will not be able to get this virus and that you will go back home to your family safe and sound. You know, in some other countries, there are a lot of doctors and frontline workers who are affected with the COVID-19. So the hospitals in Trinidad, the health centers, please be aware. Those of you that are leaving home, make it mandatory. Your loved one wants to see you back in one piece, healthy. So please follow the guidelines and don't let the TTPS have the cause to put you in silver bracelet. Because it does look good, you know, but it don't feel nice. It don't feel nice. Keep in mind, there are step-down facilities in Trinidad, but since we have been covering the conditions and the treatment with the foods and the fan getting COVID-19 and you cannot get it back, and the amount of clothes you have to change and you have to throw it away, it's expensive. So please, viewers, take heed. Take heed. We have about 3 minutes left on our show tonight. Feel free to call in 238-6716. It's about a fine being imposed in the public health regulation lawbreakers. You know, it's a serious thing, you know. We came through the last lockdown. But there were penalties to it. Some business could not open back. And it will be sad. It will be sad for Trinidad and Tobago to go back in another lockdown like that. Because many businesses would not be able to cope with it again. Many businesses. Some didn't survive the first one. Small business didn't survive. This lockdown, if we happen to go back in a stay-at-home policies and close business, what would happen? Casinos have already closed. Just imagine that. Food place, no dining, buy and go. So what about if we start lining up in food places now, like they did before, and they lock down the food places? What will happen? We went for 3 months. What about this to come? And it is spiking like if rain falling. How do you think we will deal with it now? How do you think? Viewers, we have about 20 seconds left on our show tonight. But nevertheless, you think about it. Think about it like this. If I catch COVID-19, who would say about my family? Think about it like that. When I am in quarantine at a facility for 14 days, who would say about my family? So viewers, we are out of time for tonight, but nevertheless, we are here tomorrow night for Real Talk with Saieed Ali. Until, be safe and good night.